Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at the new wizard set with the rework of the Firebirds, which completely changes up how we play the build. So anyways, just brief little overview of what we're looking at here. We are going to be doing the 4 pieces of the Firebird set, and then we are going to be doing the 6 pieces of Rasha. So that's basically what the build is, and I'll go over everything in a moment here, but to really sum it up, let me go over the Firebird's new changes, as this is a completely new set at this point. So anyways, with the 2-piece bonus, we have Disintegrate ignites enemies, causing them to take 3000% weapon damage per second until they die. When we die, a meteor falls and revives us. That's something that we've already had from the Firebird set, but that ignite is a little bit different here, because with the 4-piece bonus, we gain 80% damage reduction and 4000% increased damage while ignite is applied to a target. That's very important. It is not the target, it is a target, so just something has to be ignited. And then casting Disintegrate adds combustion stacks that reduce the cooldown of teleport by 2% per stack, stacks up to 50 times, which basically means we can teleport for free. We don't need to run the weapon that would normally grant us that, called Aether Walker. But anyways, let's go ahead and hop right into the gameplay. I'll explain some of the different pieces of items that you can play with, as there are lots of different ways to play it, but it is definitely going to be one of the strongest builds, at least as of right now, going into the next season, which will be Season 23. Keep in mind though, just as a heads up, Season 23 is not out right now, but we have the PTR, so that's basically, this is what we're testing here, and I just want to show you guys the build. So we'll hop right into a GR75, which would be the equivalent of a Torment 16, just so you guys can kind of get an idea, and so I can go through it relatively fast. But let's go show off the gameplay. So pretty much activate your buffs, and you could start off actually by just building up these stacks, as it's going to actually make it faster if you're able to just go up to the targets with your cooldown of your teleport. So pretty much you just laser things and everything dies really fast. Now, just as a heads up, your damage will be coming from the twister, not the laser. The laser only applies the ignite, so you don't have to sit there on the same target. You just basically need to make sure a twister eventually comes up. What will happen generally is the twister will pull in some of the smaller enemies too, so that's kind of nice. But it's a really easy build to play, to be honest, and I would say it's pretty fun for most people. This is unfortunately just going to be the end of the first floor, but you can see how it works. It's really, really simple to play. You don't have to manually cast Twister at all, really, as if you have the Etch Sigil, just activate on its own, which is awesome. But there is an arcane build. You can even play Frozen Orb. It's just the Firebirds with Disintegrate. Again, it just opens up the doors for completely new builds. And on top of that, this is also going to be the patch where we get the new follower buff, where the followers will actually have all of the equipment that you have in their inventory. So it'll be really fun to mess around with that. Plus, you basically, as a solo player, will have the ability to utilize a lot of things that you normally would have to put in the cube, like the Nemesis bracers and a lot of different things, but it's a really fun build. I'm enjoying it a lot, just because it like groups up everything. If you've played Twister before, it's kind of like not even needing to cast Twister. You just basically want to like ignite stuff. And that's how you get your massive damage bonus. And since we have Nemesis, this should be like pretty much the end of the rift right now. There we go. And you can see how fast this build is. It's honestly insane. Because again, look, we even placed on Luxury Point. This is only, I mean, the leaderboard's basically just started, so keep buying as things progress within the few upcoming days. And look how like low this is in terms of the like our Zystone is only like 40 at this point. So this build can go way higher. In fact, I'll show you guys the leaderboards right now in terms of what people are using. There's several different builds, but I'll go over like one of them right now so you guys can kind of get a decent idea of what you're kind of looking forward to when you try to build this, and kind of like the differences here. So we'll go ahead and open up the leaderboard. Right now I'm running the exact same thing as the guy that will be showing off, but he's got some better rolls. But you guys can see the inventory over here. But usually how I do these videos is I link a Diablo D3 planner or a max roll guide. However, the site has not updated because this just came out today. So some of these stats won't match up on certain Diablo websites because, again, it's brand new. It just came out. So Right now, this guy has cleared a 143, as you guys can see, running this exact same build that we're utilizing. So how it works is, again, we're running the 4 pieces of the Firebirds. One thing that I do want to mention is that some of the parts are swappable between Firebirds or Tal Rashas. However, one important thing that you really want to have is the Tal Rasha's armor. The reason why is because it grants you attack speed. But let's go ahead and just go over the build really quick. Actually, this is the one I actually want. Yeah, okay, here we go. There are, again, several different builds, but I just wanted to mention that really important that you can swap. Again, it depends on your rolls on certain pieces of gear. So let's go ahead and kick it off with the helmet. Keep in mind all the augments. I have 0 augments, by the way. I just built this really fast to show you guys the build here. But utilized not exactly what I have, but what you're seeing on the screen over here with the guy that has placed 142 with this build. But yeah, it's definitely capable of 140s. Like, there's so many people that have done it. But anyways, I just like this one in particular. So what we're looking for on the helm, pretty much just like in most Diablo builds, you want your main stat, you want your crit hit chance, and then whatever thing you're doing damage with. In our case, it's going to be the energy twister. And then for our shoulder pieces, area damage, and then we can get reduced resource cost. You can get like extra life percentage if you want to as well, but cooldown does not matter with this build at all. That's one stat that a lot of Diablo builds will want, but yeah, just getting your intelligence is ideal on that. There's really nothing special with these shoulders that I need to go over. With the gloves, we want int, we want crit chance, crit hit damage, and area damage, and or attack speed can be another stat that you can roll instead of intelligence once you get high enough in the Paragon department as well. And then for our amulet, we actually want to get cold, then we want crit hit damage and crit hit chance, and that's got to be the Tal Rasha's amulet over here because you cannot like cube it. Then we're running, in terms of the gems, we're running Bane and Stricken on this one. And then I've seen people use Taeguk, and I've also seen people use Zystone, and there's also Bane of the Trapped. So any of those combinations will be considered viable for this build. So next up, again, the armor, you just want to have that attack speed. That's the only important thing on it, and then your main stat. And then for our bracers, we want the Ash Blood Bracers. This will grant us extra bonus with the potency of our shields, and I'll kind of go over that in a moment later down the line. It's basically because you have deflection, and once you start getting shields, it basically makes it so if you do want to run Scorched Necklace, which can be an option, or you can run Unity. I've seen both of these be very viable in the build, but that's what you're kind of looking forward to getting. So on this, you want that elemental damage, crit chance, and then intelligence. And then if you get like life per hit or armor or life, that's totally fine as well. And then for one of our rings, we want the Royal Ring of Grandeur, and another ring, we want the Halo of Carini. So what we want is basically the same on both of the rings, crit chance, crit hit damage, and then area damage. Although getting all those is really hard in Royal Ring of Grandeur because it can't really roll those. So if you happen to get Convention of Elements, that's another option that you could run here. Then you just cube whatever one that you want. So there's where the flexibility of the build comes into play. And then we have for the belt, you have to run the Tal Rasha's belt over here. Don't worry about running the one that reduces the cost of your Disintegrate. It doesn't really matter too much at all. It should be super easy to sustain. And then for our pants, again, you can run the Firebirds pants. That's what I'm running in my build. You can swap some of the parts in and out. It's just the chest piece and Tal Rasha is important. We want our main stat and then vitality, and then you want armor because that's better. A lot of people are running the topazes, so we're granting ourselves more intelligence, but you can throw in rubies for more armor if you want to instead. Depends on like how high you're trying to push. And then for our main weapon, we're going to be using the Twisted Sword. This is just for our extra bonus damage with the multiplier, with the secondary where Energy Twister has its damage increased, and then while you have 5, the Raging Storm rune is automatically applied to Energy Twister and allows the tornado to merge with 3 additional Energy Twisters. And then for the boots, the only important thing that you want is also to have the bonus damage to Energy Twister. So you want that on your boots as well as on your helmet. And then on our offhand over here, we're going to want to have that crit chance, area damage, and then the crit hits grants arcane power is great. If you can also, as one of the rolls, grant yourself the extra bonus damage to Twister, that is another option as well. But this is the newer one. I'll go over the older one because there are some people trying out the older one, and you can actually do a lot more cool things with the older one. In fact, it lets you basically use any arcane spender, which is really cool. Now, in terms of the cube, we're running the Rebuke, so that's just damage for Energy Twister. And then we have the Rancelor's Folly. This lets us grant ourselves extra bonus damage with the Energy Twister, as well as it pulls in enemies that are lesser, so basically the smaller stuff, and it just cleans up stuff really nice. And then again, Scorch Necklace, Royal Ring of Grandeur, Unity, all these can be quite viable options. As you push higher, you might need more damage or more survivability. It depends on your rolls on things. And then we're going to be running Deflection. You know what? I'm gonna put it over here because it actually shows off a little bit more in depth exactly what the heck it does. So like I mentioned before, you can do the Arcane build. So if you want to with Energy Twister, this is just for anyone that's interested in trying out another build with it. It just changes the element. So you can actually run Raging Storm over here if you want to, or technically since you already have it, where is it? Raging Storm is already applied, but I have seen people utilize this as well. So they're running Arcane, and then obviously you just roll Arcane instead of cold damage on some of your pieces of gear. And then instead of one of the other skills, you can run a different skill to utilize the proc of your fourth Tal Rashas. Just keep that in mind, because this is currently what we're using for cold. Make sure everything is one of each element so you can apply all of it, just like you would with any Tal Rasha build. But yeah, we're running the cold rune over here. It just reduces, it doesn't matter. It just changes it to cold. That's all it really does that's important here. Then we're running Teleport with Calamity. This does a small amount of damage, and it just basically procs our Tal Rashas. That's all we want it for. Electrocute, it doesn't really matter. You don't need to cast it for your Arcane generation. You pretty much can spam your Disintegrate the whole time of the gameplay here. But run whatever rune you want. You just need the electric. You just need some electric skill. It honestly doesn't matter what you play. Then we're running Disintegrate Convergence. This just increases the beam's width so you can try to hit more targets, because remember, we just want a target ignited. It doesn't have to be the target that you're trying to deal damage with. Something's just got to be ignited. And then we have the Storm Armor, Power of the Storm. Although if you are able to have enough resource cost reduction, pick what you want. Scramble can actually make the build a little bit faster, as you will grant yourself some extra movement speed. But you can actually play with a lot of different things, but it needs to more than likely be Storm Armor, as Hail of Karini grants yourself that extra damage reduction. So that's why we have that over there. And then Magic Weapon Deflection, which is in like every single wizard build, because granting yourselves that double shield is really nice. Lets you basically face tank most of the things in the game. In terms of the passive skills, Astral Presence, Power Hungry, Galvanizing Wizard, these are pretty much on most of them. You can run Audacity if you want to. Heck, the last one, a lot of people are running Elemental Exposure. It's kind of up to what you want to do. Again, if you're dying a lot, but you're doing enough damage, heck, throw on Blur if you want to, but that's basically the gist of the build. But yeah, that's the new Firebird set rework with the new update that will be coming out on the next season, as well as it's just going to be in the game. There's also a new follower update. I'm going to make a dedicated video to this. I'm going to move my face out of the way so you guys can actually see. You can actually equip your follower with so many new things now. Keep in mind, this is only on the PTR. There's an insane thing over here called Knight's Veil, which makes it so the Scoundrel is going to launch a cloud, and anything that you hit inside will be guaranteed critical hits. It's actually a really, really insane, nice buff. Plus, we have these new things called Emanates, which grants us the legendary power by just equipping it on our follower, which is really awesome. But I'm going to make a dedicated video to the follower builds, as there's a lot of things I want to test with Ashira's, but I'm just going to make this video specifically for this one over here, which is just going over, of course, the new wizard build. But anyways, if you guys have any questions on this, if D3 Planner happens to update, I'll link the website down below with the build. But again, right now, because it doesn't exist, I can't, because they don't have like the new update, and a lot of the other things aren't accurate because they don't have the newer text. I'm just not going to link it until they update their website. But once they do, I'll update you guys with that. Now, I also want to mention one really quick last thing. If you have the older Etched Sigil, you can actually play a lot of different builds. Pretty much anything that is an arcane spender. You do lose out technically on like a little bit in terms of like min-maxing if you want to play it with the older Etched Sigil and using Energy Twister. Like if you're using Energy Twister, the new build, just use the newer one. But the older one can literally go to any arcane spender as long as you ignite the thing. You're good to go with Disintegrate. You can use any skill that you want and apply all those huge damage multipliers. Granted, that your weapon will also grant whatever weapon that you're using for the skill will also grant yourself that multiplier. So that'll be definitely something to take into consideration. So if you guys have the older etch sigil, save it. Do not get rid of it, because when the patch rolls over, it'll still keep your older etch sigil, but the new Firebirds is really awesome. And on top of that, in terms of Firebirds right now, this is the better build. It's not even worth running the 6-piece. The tall Rasha is outclassing it right now, so I would definitely go for that. But anyways, if you guys have any questions or felt like I missed out on anything, definitely let me know in the comment section below, as I do plan to make an updated build guide for this, as we just got into PTR. This is day 1, so a lot of the builds right now are kind of up for debate on what is going to be the best, but I figured I'd show you guys some gameplay so you can see the new build and the new gameplay of the new Firebird set. But that's going to go ahead and wrap things up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like on it. If you are new here and do want to see more build guides in the future, with of course season 23 coming out with the new follower changes, we'll make a video for that as well. Hit subscribe, turn that bell, and you'll definitely see more very soon. But take care, and I'll see you on the next video. And I'm signing out. Peace.